Hey there, film fans, and welcome back to the Film Artists Podcast. If you're enjoying these deep dives into the world of cinema, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Today we're going to be taking a look at Angel Heart. It came out in 1987. This film, it kind of throws you headfirst into a world where the grit of Neo-Noir meets the chilling depths of supernatural horror.
Yeah, and it's not just a mashup of genres, though. The brilliance of Angel Heart is how it seamlessly blends them. It's blurring the lines between the darkness of the city streets and the darkness that resides within the human soul.
So to set the stage, we have Harry Angel, played by a phenomenal Mickey Rourke. He's a private investigator who's seen better days. He's hired by the enigmatic Louis Cyphre. And Cyphre is played with a chillingly quiet intensity by Robert De Niro. He hires him to track down a missing singer named Johnny Favorite.
And right off the bat, the names themselves hint at the film's deeper layers, right? You've got Angel, a name suggestive of purity given to a man spiraling into darkness. And then Cyphre. Need I say more? It's like we're being told up front that the story is about the battle between good and evil, about hidden identities, and maybe even a struggle for Harry's very soul.
And then there's the visual landscape that director Alan Parker creates. It's a feast for the eyes with cinematography by Michael Saracen. It blends gritty realism with these almost dreamlike, unsettling images. You've got the grimy, claustrophobic streets of New York City contrasted with the humid, almost otherworldly swamps of New Orleans.
The visuals are crucial to understanding the film's psychology. The muted color palette with its browns, grays, and flashes of blood red immediately creates a sense of unease. And the interplay of light and shadow, those recurring motifs of blood and fire, further enhance this feeling that something is deeply wrong.
And then you layer in Trevor Jones's score. And it's like the film is working on every sense to build this unsettling atmosphere. It's got that smoky jazz feel you'd expect in a noir film, but then it throws in these discordant, almost supernatural melodies, sends chills down your spine. It's masterful.
It's that unsettling blend of the familiar and the unknown that makes Angel Heart so effective. You're lulled into this world of classic noir. But then the music, the visuals, even the deliberate pacing start pulling you into something much darker and more psychologically disturbing.
Speaking of pacing, it's definitely not a fast-paced film. Some viewers might even find it slow. But do you think this slow burn works to the film's advantage in building suspense? Or could it be seen as a detriment?
It's a fascinating question. I think the pacing is deliberate. It allows the tension to build, slowly mimicking Harry Angel's descent into this increasingly surreal and nightmarish world. Think of it as a slow drip of poison rather than a sudden shock. It seeps into you gradually, and by the time you realize the full extent of the horror, you're already trapped.
We can't talk about Angel Heart without discussing the performances. Mickey Rourke as Harry Angel is absolutely captivating. He embodies this character who starts out as a tough, world-weary detective, but slowly unravels as he gets closer to the truth.
Rourke's performance is a masterclass in subtle transformation. You see it in his eyes, which betray fleeting moments of fear and doubt, and in his posture, which becomes increasingly hunched as the weight of his investigation bears down on him. It's a physical and emotional portrayal that goes beyond acting. It's a metamorphosis.
And then there's Robert De Niro as Louis Cyphre. He might only be in a handful of scenes, but his presence is absolutely electrifying. He embodies this quiet, understated menace, a figure of power and control, both terrifying and strangely seductive.
What's striking about De Niro's performance is that it relies more on what is not said than what is. He leaves you with more questions than answers, and that ambiguity adds to the overall sense of unease and mystery that permeates the film. He's like a walking enigma, a puzzle you can't quite solve.
It's almost like he's a physical embodiment of the film's core themes. Temptation, the blurring of good and evil, the weight of our choices. He's not just a character, he's a force of nature.
Exactly. And that's where Angel Heart transcends being just a stylish thriller. It delves into these profound questions about our own nature. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that darkness might lurk within all of us. So let's dive into some of those details. Let's start with the color palette. Angel Heart, it embraces darkness, and I mean that literally. Deep shadows dominate the film, punctuated by muted browns and grays, and then there are these flashes of blood red that seem to leap off the screen.
Yeah, definitely not a film for those who prefer bright, sunny visuals, but those splashes of red you mentioned, they're so striking. They're almost like a visual representation of the violence and guilt that simmer beneath the surface of the story.
Exactly. And the use of shadows is masterful. They conceal and reveal information, keeping you constantly off balance, wondering what lurks in the darkness. It's like the darkness itself is a character slowly encroaching on Harry's world.
I love the way those shadows play against the moments of stark lighting. Like For example, remember the scene where Harry first meets Epiphany in her dimly lit apartment? The way the light hits her face, it's almost ethereal, yet there's an underlying sense of danger, as if she's both a beacon and a warning.
Absolutely. It goes back to that theme of duality we were talking about. The constant interplay of light and darkness, good and evil, reality and illusion. And speaking of duality, the film is brimming with visual motifs that reinforce this idea. The fans, for instance, they're everywhere, constantly whirring, creating this unsettling breeze that feels almost supernatural.
The fans.
Yeah.
There's such a simple element, yet they create this constant sense of unease. Do you think they represent something more than just the stifling heat of the setting?
Definitely. Think about it. The fans are always moving, but they're not going anywhere. They're trapped in this cyclical motion. Much like Harry himself, they could symbolize the relentless pressure he's under, the feeling that he's caught in a web he can't escape, or perhaps they represent the ever-present forces of fate relentlessly pushing him towards his destiny.
Wow. I never thought about the fans in that way. It's amazing how even the seemingly insignificant details in Angel Heart are layered with meaning.
And let's not forget the recurring imagery of birds. Particularly the pigeons Harry encounters throughout the film. They seem to follow him, these flocks of pigeons, almost like harbingers of doom.
The pigeons, yes. They're always there lurking in the background, almost like little spies from the dark side.
Yeah, and in many cultures, birds are associated with the soul, with the ability to transcend the earthly realm. But in Angel Heart, they take on a much more sinister connotation. They represent the darkness that's closing in on Harry, the spiritual corruption that's slowly eating away at him.
It's fascinating how these seemingly mundane objects take on such profound significance in the context of the film. It's like Parker is constantly reminding us that everything is connected, that the material world is intertwined with the spiritual.
Precisely. And that brings us to the setting itself. New Orleans during Mardi Gras. It's a time of revelry, of excess, of masks and hidden identities. It's the perfect backdrop for a story about sin transgression and the blurring of boundaries.
It's almost like the city itself becomes a character, a microcosm of the themes the film explores. You have this explosion of life and celebration on the surface, but underneath it all, there's this darkness, this sense of ancient secrets and hidden rituals.
Exactly. And think about the symbolism of the masks. Everyone is wearing a mask, both literally and figuratively. Harry is hiding from his past, Cyphre is concealing his true nature, and even Epiphany, with her seemingly innocent facade, has secrets of her own.
It's like the film is saying that we're all wearing masks to some extent, that identity is fluid and often deceptive. We present one face to the world while concealing our true selves beneath the surface.
And that ties into one of the most powerful metaphors in the film, the descent into the heart. As Harry delves deeper into his investigation, he's also journeying into the depths of his own psyche, confronting the darkness within himself. It's a psychological and spiritual descent, a peeling back of layers to reveal the raw, primal truth.
That's such a powerful image. The heart as a labyrinth, a place of hidden chambers and dark secrets. And it's not just Harry who's undergoing this journey. The film itself pulls the viewer along, leading us down a path of twisted corridors and unexpected revelations. It's a truly immersive experience.
And it's an experience that is heightened by the film's dialogue. It's sharp, poetic, full of double meanings and hidden clues. It's like every line is a piece of a puzzle, and we, the viewers, are challenged to put the pieces together.
I love how the dialogue blends hard-boiled noir slang with these cryptic pronouncements that hint at the supernatural forces at play. Take, for example, that chilling line from Louis Cyphre. I believe in God. He's a practical joker with a flair for irony.
That line is so loaded with meaning. It speaks to the film's exploration of the nature of good and evil, the idea that perhaps God isn't the benevolent figure we imagine him to be, but a more capricious and ultimately indifferent entity. It challenges our preconceived notions of faith and morality.
It's like the film is suggesting that we're all caught in this cosmic game where the rules are constantly shifting, and the ultimate outcome is beyond our control.
And that brings us back to the theme of fate and free will, a question that haunts Angel Heart from beginning to end. Is Harry Angel truly in control of his actions? Or is he merely a pawn in a larger game orchestrated by forces beyond his comprehension?
It's a question that resonates with all of us on some level, don't you think? We all grapple with the idea of destiny, of the choices we make and the paths we take. But Angel Heart takes it to a whole other level, suggesting that our choices may not be as free as we believe.
And that's what makes it such a thought-provoking and ultimately unsettling film. It doesn't offer easy answers or comforting resolutions. It forces us to confront the darkness within ourselves and grapple with the possibility that our destinies may already be written.
Angel Heart is a film that truly gets under your skin.
Yeah.
You know, weeks later, you're still thinking about those final moments and what they mean. It's a film that demands to be discussed, dissected, and debated.
And if you're looking for other films that explore similar themes, I highly recommend checking out Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. It's a masterpiece that tackles existential themes and the weight of moral choices, all set against the backdrop of medieval Europe.
The Seventh Seal. Now that's a film that stays with you. A knight playing chess with death. Talk about high stakes. Okay, so for those who are drawn to the neo-noir elements of Angel Heart, what else would you recommend?
Roman Polanski's Chinatown is an absolute must-see for anyone who appreciates a good, twisty detective story with a dark heart. It's got that same sense of atmosphere, that feeling of corruption lurking beneath the surface of a seemingly glamorous world.
Yeah, both The Seventh Seal and Chinatown, they'll definitely give you that same feeling of unease and moral complexity that we see in Angel Heart. But let's get back to Angel Heart for a moment. One thing that struck me is how the film uses elements of surrealism, to enhance that sense of unease and psychological disorientation.
Absolutely. You see it in those dream sequences, those flashes of disturbing imagery that blur the lines between reality and nightmare. It's as if the film is trying to get inside Harry's head to show us the world through his increasingly fractured perspective.
Yeah, it's like the film itself becomes a dream, a fever dream that draws you in and leaves you questioning what's real and what's not.
And that sense of unreality is further amplified by the film's use of symbolism. Those recurring motifs, the blood, the fire, the fans, the pigeons, they all take on this heightened significance, becoming almost like symbols in a dream.
It's as if the film is speaking to us in a symbolic language, inviting us to decode its hidden messages. And it's not just about the visuals, it's about the underlying themes as well. Angel Heart is a film that can be interpreted on so many different levels. It's a story about sin and redemption, about the duality of human nature, about the search for identity in a world that's constantly shifting.
And it's a film that resonates with our own anxieties and uncertainties. The themes it explores, guilt, paranoia, the blurring of moral boundaries, they're all themes that are relevant to the human experience regardless of time or place. It makes you wonder, is there a bit of Harry Angel in all of us?
Oh, that's a chilling thought. And brings me back to something you said earlier about Angel Heart being a film that stays with you. So, what is it about this film that you think makes it so unforgettable?
I think it's the combination of its visual power, its psychological depth, and its willingness to ask uncomfortable questions. It's a film that doesn't shy away from the darkness, both within its characters and within ourselves as viewers. It forces us to confront the shadows that we often try to ignore.
And it does so with such artistry and style. The cinematography, the music, the performances, the direction, everything works together to create this immersive, unforgettable experience.
It really is a testament to the power of film as a medium. Angel Heart demonstrates how film can be more than just entertainment. It can be a profound exploration of the human condition, a mirror reflecting our own deepest fears and desires.
So if you haven't already seen Angel Heart, I highly recommend giving it a watch. Just be prepared for a dark and disturbing journey into the heart of human nature. And for those of you who have seen it, perhaps it's time for a rewatch. I guarantee you'll discover something new each time you watch it.
Absolutely. And as you watch, pay attention to the details. The recurring imagery, the symbolism, the dialogue, all of these elements work together to create this rich tapestry of meaning that will stay with you long after the film is over.
And be sure to let us know your thoughts. What are your interpretations of the film's ending? What resonated with you the most? We love hearing your perspectives.
Until next time, keep those reels rolling and those minds engaged.
And remember, sometimes the most unsettling journeys are the ones that lead us closer to the truth.